That's Liz Jackson on tenor sax with this little number called Cookin' Sherry. Brother Jack McDuff on organ, Bill Jennings on guitar, Wendell Marshall on bass, and Bill Elliott on drums. This is the title track of Jackson's 1960 album. This is Leid Stories. I'm Utrice Leid, and we start the week with some pretty interesting topics that will become more and more intense in the days ahead because, of course, we're winding the clock down on this thing called the election and all kinds of strange developments, but we're going to take a look at some of the strangest of the strange as it goes along. So I have a couple of questions I'm just going to put out there as the clock winds down to November the 3rd. Will this year's presidential race make you feel better about voting, worse about voting, or no particular way about voting? That's the first question. Will this year's presidential race make you feel better about voting? Will it make you feel worse about voting? Or will it make you feel no particular way about voting? Are you more inclined to vote in this year's presidential election than you were in 2016? If so, why? And if not, why not? Do you see elections in general as tied to the American notion of representative democracy? Or has it become a mockery of the idea? That's question number 3. Do you see elections in general as tied to the American notion of representative democracy? Or has it become a mockery of that idea? 888-874-4888 is the number to call as you cogitate, as you think a little bit about what your answer is and to which question. I'd be interested in what you are thinking about these things, because whether we acknowledge it or not, we can sense there has been a shift. I don't think we could argue that there has been a shift. It is so clear that there is a shift in people's ways of thinking about elections. And to my mind, at least just purely from my own observation, nothing else, I'm just limiting it to my own observation, you see people becoming a bit despondent. They're expecting something more out of this whole thing called the election. And it's not working. They don't feel like they're part of this transformation that society typically goes through whenever election time comes. And more, they're seeing things that make them really sad, angry. People regarded with such reverence, such seriousness. It has become a kind of joke, a sick joke at that. And you see a seamy side of America that you really don't want to associate with your country, that this is the way people are functioning now at this level. And it just brings everything down to a level that you didn't dare think about it. You didn't dare think this way 10, 20 years ago. We have open corruption, major conflicts of interest. You have people doing whatever it is they want to do. This president, the incumbent president, particularly has ushered in, it seems, a whole new way, a whole new mentality about leadership, about responsibility, about money and politics, and politics being the reason to make more money. And you can't believe that this is what is happening, because there was a whole different attitude not too long ago. And that seems to have all but vanished. Politics is a sordid business, and people are more and more open about it. Uh, this is why I'm in politics. I'm here to make money. I'm not here to improve society or to guarantee a better life for anybody. I'm not here to extol the virtues that we used to see extolled in the 1950s and 60s. Those days are dead. Politics is gangsterism now. It's about, I got to get mine. The hell with you and whether you get yours. But it's straight out cutthroat politics, and it's something that we are adjusting to, believe it or not. People are adjusting. They're saying, oh, so this is what it's about. This is what we should be thinking about. You have the president using the White House, for example, as a backdrop for his news conferences or whatever it is that is he's pushing that day. These things never were even thought about as ways to operate. There was a whole different standard, it seemed. But all of that is out the window. And there's a whole new attitude about politics. It's rapacious. It is dog eat dog. It is, how will politics help me make tons of money? It is about, yeah, I know you have ideals, but you've got to be real as well. And in the real world, people have to make money. And there's nothing wrong with politics being a way to make money. They're not hiding that seamy underside of politics. And it's a turnoff. I know for me, I grew up in a very political family. My father was a very political man. And the whole country had an attitude about politics, that it was a good competition. It was a good way to test the validity of one's ideas. That's long dead. It's dead, dead, dead. And politics means something very different now. And even if you want to hold to something called a standard, it's becoming more and more impossible to do so because there seems to be no standard. It is whatever it is you can get away with and win. So, as we embark on the last leg of this presidential race, what are your feelings about this thing called politics that rules our lives, that at least we used to think it was going to be a point of reference in how we conduct ourselves as a nation, how we regard things like leadership, and we come to some kind of agreement with ourselves that we just can't sink below a certain level. We can't do that. We have to maintain a certain level. However, everybody seems to be sinking, and everybody seems to be okay with sinking to that heretofore uh, unknown level where we just don't do certain things. You know, uh, they accommodate. They Everybody's flexible, and the business of politics being representative government, or at least a solid attempt at it, that too has gone right through the window. It's something else. It's hard to decide what it is to be called now. Accommodation, uh, deal making, but it is not what it used to be, that's for sure. Is it better? We don't know. But we do know that the people in power, or the people who seek to be in power, are the ones driving this changing definition, and others are going along with it. All right, so that's enough from me. 888-874-4888. Gwen from New York, you start us off today.
Hi, Yatrice.
How you
Okay,
doing, Gwen?
had to. Hi, I had to call because I've run for office several times, and office always to me is called public service. So that means you don't go there to make money. I've always said to the people I run against, if you want to make money, you need to go to Wall Street to make money. But this is called public service. It's not a money-making job. It's a job to allow you to have direct input on hopefully good things in the city. My particular cause has been to stop the upzones, which cause gentrification in neighborhoods. And it's specifically handled, for the most part, at the city council. So it's very, very disappointing when I hear the commentary, which you are accurately describing. You're absolutely right. It's heartbreaking that we have totally, I call it mafia politics, that even the craziest thing I heard the other day about the man that was, the young guy, Rittenhouse, carrying an AR-40, going into a group of people, threatening and shooting, and people who tried to wrestle the gun away are now being touted as people that were harassing him, taking away his civil rights for not allowing him to shoot into a crowd like that. That's our president leading that cause. So I agree with you, but I also think that we have an obligation to not throw in the towel. The United States is not closed for business yet, and it's going to take a lot of pressure on our side if you want to have a better society. I mean, half of the reason why this happens is people throw the towel in, they stop voting, they stop getting involved, and they get more self-absorbed, and then they wonder why things go so bad. I mean, democracy is an ongoing. It's like cleaning your house. You got to clean it every day. If you don't clean it every day, don't be surprised when you get roaches and rats, and that's who's running our government right now. So that's part of it. And the other part is, yes, I am voting this time. I've always voted. I never don't vote, and often I agree that I'm voting for the lesser of two evils. However, this time I'm voting for a different reason. I'm voting because I truly believe that if Trump gets in 4 more years, there will be death camps. I think there is an X on the mark of all people that are activists. I think the black population has everything to worry about. And I think that this is actually the most important election that we're going to have here. So I am going to vote, and I get very upset when I hear the same cynical arguments that were made with Al Gore and other people that ran on the Democratic Party. We're not dealing with that anymore. We're dealing with somebody who is Satan, and he's going to finish what he's doing if you give him another chance. And people, I guess, because we've never had a war here, we've never really seen up close and personal the kind of ravage that many countries have seen. We're spoiled, so we don't realize how rough it's going to get. And that's putting it mildly. So, yes, I'm going to vote. Yes, I'm actually going to run again for city council. It's extraordinarily corrupt. In the city of New York, they can steal an election in 5 seconds. If they tell you you want a hand-levered machine, they can go in and fix them. If they tell you they do computers, they can fix them. One of the rules of thumb in New York is you have to have a lot of crime under your belt in order to get into office, because when they want to get you out of office, they have to have something to blackmail you with. So it's pretty hard when you come in. I have a very clean reputation. You have to have some dirt, or they usually don't allow the gates to open for you. So that's my thoughts on it today.
All right. And thank you for getting us started today with a serious shot of reality. Thank you, Gwen, for calling in. Ed from Jamaica, you're on the air.
Hey, Latrice, how are you?
Okay, how are you doing?
Well, me and my thumbs here.
you and your thumbs.
Me and my thumbs as we count down on this clown show. Pertaining to your questions, I always vote since I was able to vote, since I learned about voting, because I believe you got to exercise the franchise. I mean, I'm unfortunately, a lot of times, most of the time in my personal political history has been the lesser of the evil of two lessers. I believe the best president this country ever had in my lifetime was Jimmy Carter. He was the last individual that really represented what this democracy should be and what a president should do for the country. And he got crucified for it, for whatever reasons. But from the time of Reagan, it's been a poor choice of leadership. It's been gangster politics. It's just that they put a skirt on it years ago, and you really couldn't see it unless you knew exactly what was going on, unless you paid close attention. And American people don't pay attention. They're lazy. They're uneducated voters for the most part, and they want somebody to tell them what to do and how to do it. They want a quick fix. They don't want to put the work in. And that's my personal opinion, and that's why we're in the state that we're in now. I'm going to continue to vote. I'm going to continue to activate in my community. I'm going to continue to pick up the broom. Like when you told us to pick up the broom, and I picked up the broom on 93rd Avenue, and 93rd Avenue is still clean. And I'm proud of that. We get garbage out there, we sweep it up. And you got to be local. You've got to take care of your environment. You've got to secure your environment. If you look at groups in New York that have political power, it starts in the grassroots. It starts in the neighborhood. People know when they come on 93rd Avenue in Hollis, Queens, you can't put no garbage here, because the big black guy with the $2 is going to say something to you. And that makes me feel good. If whatever little bit that does, whatever little bit that can do or influence someone else to do something else, more power. But that's where it's going to come from, because this political structure, this organization, this monstrosity has no connection with the common people, and it will never have a connection with the common people. There's far too much money. There's far too much avarice. There's far too much self-aggrandizement that runs through this system that's perpetuating it, and now it can't even hide itself anymore. It can't rectify itself, because so much wrong is in it that right is not a possibility. But
what was it about Jimmy Carter's time in office that made you almost wax philosophic about Jimmy Carter as a political leader today?
Well, I was a young child when he was in office, and he was my first experience with politics. My father was always a union man, and he always respected his views. I mean, he made his mistakes. No one's perfect. No one can walk on water, but he did things for the people. His policies were what a president should be: securing home, securing the domestic tranquility, and having a decent foreign policy. He got shafted by the powers that were in, the Dulles brothers and Schultz and them, when with the Iran hostage negotiations, that he made a crucial mistake there, I believe, and that's what caused his downfall and allowed that first clown Reagan to get in power. But Jimmy Carter, if you look at his overall record, he did a lot. He did a lot, and I believe that good follows. He's well in his 90s, and he's still doing a lot. You know, I mean, that's what that's what a leader of a country should be. And he was always ready to acknowledge when he made a mistake. And from when he was gone, it's been downhill. Reagan was a joke. I mean, they venerate Reagan now, but I remember bedtime for Bonzo and Nancy running the White House and all this other. I mean, from that point on, we've had shadows of leadership. Bush too, even Obama. You know what I mean? What he could have done and what he did, it's far fleeting. And I voted for him once, but you know that's what the price of democracy is: eternal vigilance. If you're not taking care of your game, if you're not keeping your game tight, your game gonna fall apart. And this is what we got. We got a criminal in the White House, and we got a liar who's trying to take his thing. And the liar is the better choice out of the two. Like you said, it's a sick joke. If it wasn't so sad, it would be hilarious.
But of course, it isn't a joke. It is very serious. Do you sense in your going around the city and talking to people and so forth, do you sense that people share that view, that things have changed radically and not for the better?
Well, the people I talk to, well, yeah, they don't see any hope. They don't see any true leadership or true signs of change. I mean, you know, like I said, you've got polls that say 75% to 85% of the country want some type of free medical care, and the guy who's trying to beat the devil doesn't even want to give it. You know, this guy is sitting there saying nothing's going to change much. They're all his secretary Kaufman is already saying, you know, Donald Trump has affected the coffers so much that we might not be able to do too much if we get in. You've got a multi-trillion-dollar military-industrial complex. You spend $1 million on something, on an MX missile, which its main purpose is to destroy itself on a target. You mean to tell me you can't take a quarter of that, a half of that? You can't take all of that and rectify some of these problems? You know, the government makes money. You talk about deficit, but the military budget always gets met. Certain things always get met. Drug companies, their needs always get met. Wall Street always gets taken care of. But the people that make this thing work, y'all will be all right. I mean, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and we can't even get another relief package without some political garbage. It's a joke, and a lot of people are seeing it. You know, I mean, you know, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I know there are a lot of people doing a lot of things. I try to work with some of them, but it could get ugly. It could get real ugly because people are getting tired. And the young people that I talk to, they don't see, you know, when you've got nothing to lose, you willing to take any chance.
That's quite sobering, but it's also true. Thanks a lot for contributing today, Ed. Jackie from Brooklyn, you're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon to you and to the listening family.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. I wanted to add my 2 cents. I agree with the previous 2 callers. I understand that a lot of people historically have died, shed their blood uh, to have the right to vote. So whether you agree or you don't think these are the proper candidates, I think we should still exercise our right to vote. The other issue that I have is not enough planning and ongoing planning and execution and leadership of plans all during the 4-year period. You know, people get worked up into a frenzy around election time, but then after that's over, so many of the grassroots are just go back to quietness, and we can't have that. We have to have consistent planning, consistent evaluation of what are the problems, and there has to be some linkage between the younger people and the older people. Because the other day I was listening to a different program, and this gentleman said that the young people asked Jesse Jackson, well, we've been out here for 4 days protesting, and where have you been? But, you know, that shows that they don't understand the historical context of protesting and who were, involved at that time. And I'm not saying there's any one perfect anointed leader. That's another thing we need to move away from. But we need to organize and have leadership in our individual cities and communities. So these are the concerns that I have. We don't see that. We don't see a linkage, a teaching of what happened in the past and how does this impact our current condition. But I agree with the woman who called and the last gentleman, because things are going to get far worse. And just protesting in the streets without anything to protect yourself and without anything to strategy is not going to do anything but lead to mass arrests and mass killings and mass everything that's going to be detrimental to people of color and people of goodwill. So that's what I have to say today. Thank you.
But before you go, I wanted to ask about your own evolution, your own political evolution. What has it been? From what to what now?
Okay, I'm a senior. I've always voted, but fortunately I was blessed to grow up in a family where my father especially had very political awareness even at an early age. I was introduced to different schools of thoughts about political power and self-determination. So I know a lot of people weren't raised in that kind of environment, but I was. But I have seen, and I understand the first woman who said she ran for city council, I know exactly what she's talking about, because I simply tried to get on the school board because I have a child that's disabled. He's a man now. But I kept trying to get services for him, and it was a complete runaround. So then I got annoyed and said, I'm going to run for the school board in my school district in Brooklyn. And the organized club politicians, they came out and they challenged and defeated my petitions. And my personal experience down through the years, whenever I've tried to interject myself into local political issues, they don't want the common, everyday, grassroots person who really has a vested interest in the issues. They want people that are politically controlled by the clubs. I don't know about in other cities, but I can tell you about Kings County politics in the sense of the clubs, who gets to be elected, even to become a judge. This last election, we had 7 women who ran who were totally independent, but that is like an anomaly. That rarely never happens because they always bring people that have to be anointed by the political clubs. So you can't even get into certain positions of authority unless you come through the clubhouse. Now, I don't know what happens in other cities, but I'm assuming that it's a similar structure. So
Yes,
all this stuff is controlled from the grassroots going all the way up. But it's our meaning the people's responsibilities to get involved, just like this whole issue about the UFT and the safety of the school. But where were the parents supporting these issues? You don't see parents. The PTAs and parent groups, they should have been as actively and vocally involved in the conditions of the school. So, I mean, this goes on and on and on, and I don't even want to start talking about the PBA and the FOP supporting Trump. But where are the people of color? They have organizations like the Guardians and the Vulcans and different organizations within the police forces. You don't hear them speaking out about anything. We don't see any organizations within our own communities where you have black officers and Latin officers and people who could come out and do training with people in the community. What do you do when you're stopped by the police? How should you react? What happens when a police officer abuses you or even kills you? The other day, you raised that issue about why weren't the men charged with a conspiracy or gang violence or a conspiracy to act, in the Aubrey case in Georgia? You asked that question. You kept asking people, well, what's missing beside being charged for murder? What are the other issues? And there's deep, deep issues. The district attorney's office, the judges, the prosecutors, all these people work hand in hand. And see, that's what people need to understand. It's not enough. Of course, we don't want people killing people in the street, but it's not enough just to say, oh, they shot somebody, we have to protest, we have to charge the officers. No, you have to look at the district attorney's office. You have to look at the judges who do bench trials, so there's no jury trial, so the judge decides the fate of the police officers. All this stuff is structurally set up, and people need to understand what that means. What is the impact when you just keep doing this stuff over and over and over again? Because they don't understand the structures of things. And they're more reactionary than studying, understanding the history, and implementing actual programs for change. The reason why the police are against the budget distribution, because they don't want people questioning. They get millions of dollars for the police to have tanks, but children can't get lunches in schools. Something's terribly wrong here. So anyway, I don't want to get myself, all worked up, and I want to keep my blood pressure down like you treat. I'm going to let somebody else talk. But it's not just simply going to the poll and voting. That's an exercise of your right, and you should do that. I'm not saying don't vote, but I'm saying you need to understand what the issues are. So when you go to your elected official, you can say to your elected official, why are you on these committees in Congress, like the Homeland Security Committee, but we never hear anything that you've done to supervise Homeland Security or bring the issues to the community about Homeland Security, but yet your own elected official sits on such a committee, and then you don't hear anything about that. We don't hold our elected officials accountable because we don't know how to frame the questions to put to them. And everybody that goes into these offices, Congress, Senate, they come out a millionaire. Why is that? They have health care for life. Why is that?
You're giving us
I'm sorry, I don't mean to
very
rant.
good lesson in civics today.
Yeah, but
how it all works.
But it starts with awareness. It starts with organization. It starts with identifying the issues and presenting the issues to your elected leaders and requiring them, not come out with some Nandy Panby, give me a turkey at Thanksgiving. Come out with concrete programs to effectuate change. And the only way we can hold elected officials accountable is that we have to understand the issues ourselves and how do those issues impact on us. That's the bottom line. So we need to stop dancing, stop the electric sliding, the black bar associations and different organizations, the sororities and all these people. I'm not saying they haven't done good things in the past, But we have people that are in positions of intellectual leadership within our own communities who have not analyzed the issues and not have brought those issues back to the community to educate the community to formulate responses to the problems. And this is in every city. Every city. It's not just New York City, but I can talk about New York because I live here.
Well,
So
I want
anyway,
to thank
God
you
bless you and be
for.
well, and thank you for allowing me to vent a little bit. But I
Well,
hope somebody
thank
can
you
really come
for
up with some.
enlightening us in your own way, because it was some heavy teaching. It didn't feel heavy, but it was very heavy
Well, I'm a
because of
senior
the
now, and I'm a
unique
little
approach you
tired,
took to it.
Nutrice, you know? I'm a senior. I've been in this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I was just coming out of school, graduate school, when Eleanor Bumpurs was killed. So this is how far back I go. And it was a group of us, we went to see the then black police commissioner, Ben Ward, to talk about Eleanor Bumpurs and how she was killed for $484 rent arrears, where they killed her with a shotgun. And the woman had mental health, and she was in her late 70s, early 80s. So this is nothing new. I'm talking about in 1970 something when we went to see Commissioner Ward about Eleanor Bumpurs. So you take Eleanor Bumpurs and you go forward. How many other people have been killed by the police? The police have yet to develop a mental health unit. The police should not even be the persons responding. They are a physical force. They're trained to be a military-type tactic. They should not even be involved with people who have mental health issues. You know, I mean, this doesn't make sense. The man was they just brought an indictment about the man sitting on the ground naked in Rochester, New York in the snow. You saw that, right? And they put the hood over his head. Now, why they didn't give him a blanket? They didn't try to get him in an ambulance. You know, I mean, this is too much now. Okay, 1619 forward, this is a little bit too much. And I can't understand why people are not reacting to this. And I don't only mean just in the street raising hell and burning buildings down. I'm talking about reacting by looking at structures and seeing how we can get this yoke of oppression off of us. So anyway, God bless you, and thank you for listening, and I'll keep listening.
Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you very much for your contribution today. We learned a lot. Thank you so much. Henry from Chicago, you're on the air. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How you doing, Nutrice?
I'm hanging in.
Oh, great. I got a follow behind that. Wow. She gave a lot of good information. So, oh man. Okay. But a lot of points that she made, and in regards to your question that you that you had proposed, you know, it hasn't changed. This election has not changed my opinion on what I think about elections. It is not about, the will of the people. It is not about democracy. Basically, elections now is all about, I think Ed from Jamaica said the cult of personality plus money. So if you have a good personality and you have a lot of money, you're able to win elections in this day and age. You really don't even have to, I will probably say in national elections, you probably don't even have to go onto the ground level to get votes. You could just be on TV, tweet, and, gain a following in order to win elections. But even locally, like the last caller was talking about New York, even Chicago has, changed as well. And I think she prefaced that in regards to the local politics of a particular city. But one of the things that she kind of touched upon was, we don't have, and especially when you're talking about Black and brown communities, we don't have that veteran politician that teaches the people, how an election works and how democracy works. And I always reference Harold Washington because he was the greatest political mind coming out of Chicago. Harold Washington, when he won the mayoral seat, he really didn't even want it. But the people came to him and he challenged them, saying, "Listen, you have to raise me $800,000 and get about it was 800,000 people to register to vote and raise $1 million, and then he'll run." And that's what they did. But he also educated the people on how politics works. And we don't have that no more. We're not grooming anybody to take that spot because of the fact that people get into politics, they make their money, and then they leave. They don't go into it anymore, for working for the people. People don't understand. Harold Washington before he was even mayor, had a 20-year political career within the Illinois Senate, and also as a representative as well. And so people don't understand that Harold Washington was the one who brought the bill to Illinois to make Martin Luther King holiday, an official holiday in Illinois. That was his work before he even became mayor of Chicago. So he was already in the trenches working for the people, and also too, being politically savvy. We have too many politicians now who they get into office and then they want to scream and shout, thinking that they know everything instead of just sitting in the background and learning. Harold knew that he couldn't face the Democratic machine, when he got in, because he was very, he grew up in that machine and he was very sour to it. But he knew he couldn't take them head on unless he had a plan. And so we don't have those type of politicians no more. And nobody speaks up on, the issues. Like I said, it's personality. Personality wins you elections now. And also money as well, too. But, personality and money, nobody talks about the issues. And then the issues that they talk about are directed, because obviously when you're talking about an issue that is very common in national elections is economics. And what do? They say, like this president now, and even Obama in his term, the economy is doing great. Why is the economy doing great? Because the Dow is up. What does the Dow have to do with me? What does the stock market have to do with me? But that's the direction that they want to point you in, that the economy is doing well because the stock market is doing well. And that's a bold-faced lie. So, even on the issues, they want you to look at economics. They don't want you to look at anything else. Look what I've done to the country just by our money. So, it's a shell game now because of the fact that they direct us to where they want us to look, because we haven't been educated in basic civics. So this is what our politics have come to now.
So as you approach the final leg of this presidential race, do you find that your particular attitudes also have changed?
No, I don't think my attitude has changed at all about this particular election. At the points that I made before have changed over previous elections, but this election is about the same as the last election, and even the elections with Barack Obama. I've always, my attitude changed about the rule of the people when I voted in 2000 in the Bush-Gore election, and Gore actually won the popular vote. This is when I first started understanding about the Electoral College and the implications. I mean, I learned about it in school, but this was like, real and up front. How does a guy who gets more votes still lose the election? And so it was no surprise to me in the last election that, Hillary Clinton had, 1 million more votes than Donald Trump, but she still ended up losing. So then I realized that politics is an area game as well when you're talking about the Electoral College. And people always write off Donald Trump as this idiot, bumbling fool. And I don't think he's much of a fool at all. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, but we don't know what he's doing.
That's the whole point.
He knows what he's doing. We don't know what he's doing.
Well, that's the whole point. He wants to confuse us.
My God. Thanks, Henry, for calling in and contributing today. I appreciate it. Yolanda from Georgia, you're on the air.
Hey, Tris. I appreciate the work you're doing, and
thank you.
I have my 2 cents into. I want to put my input. I always go with the urgency of everything, and I always go with the history behind everything, and everything that has been going on right now in the world. Story behind it, and people fail to see the history side of it. And I think Gary did a very good job as bring it. I've been listening to WBAI and since 1994, and I used to listen to you. You did your show is the most popular show on WBAI, which educate me a lot about certain things. Also, I've been listening to Gary speaking about Dr. Fauci. We are a society in jail right now. We are in a prison, and we are not even aware of it. There's an urgency that is greater than, the black and white. They're trying to distract us into the race game, into everything else. But we are in a grave danger right now, right this moment. Everyone is in danger. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I find that surprised that people are nonchalant. They kind of relax, and we should not be relaxed right now. Everything is about survival right now because they're trying to vaccinate most. I was reading this morning on Yahoo News, and I don't get my news from there, but I was looking for something else, and it came to my attention. Who are the people they're going to vaccinate first? And they said it's going to be the fireman, the policeman, the healthcare worker, and the black people, and the American Indian people. And this is not a joke. Right now, I cannot go to Sweden. I cannot go to Paris. People from Paris cannot come here. Only a few people in a few countries in Africa are open. We are in a prison right now. If you go to certain state, you have to be in quarantine. They monitor you on your phone to know. My friend came from Florida, and they said to him, when you arrive at LaGuardia Airport, oh, you cannot leave your house because you have been in a place where there was somebody tested positive for coronavirus. Well, the point I wanted to make is, you, Tris, you didn't open the conversation about Dr. Fauci. I think this man is the most dangerous man in the world right now. Him and Bill Gates. He and Bill Gates are sleeping in the same bed. And they've been sleeping in the same bed since the age of the AIDS virus. This man and Dr. Birx and the people from the CDC and the World Health Organization and the FDA, they're all been behind the AIDS virus, how do you call that, scenario. And like Gary said yesterday, it's the best scenario they've been putting together. Even me, I put pandemic on my page on Facebook. They went after me. My page used to have hundreds of people liking, and the next day, the whole week, there was nobody. They silenced my page totally. So there's a sensory going on right now on everything. They are even going after Robert Kennedy Jr., they're going after Del Bigtree, they're going after Robert De Niro. Everybody
who are the they? Who are the they that are doing
I
these
knew
things?
you were going to say that. But all the facts are there. The people who control the system, which is the pharmaceutical industry and the Bill Gates and the deep state and Wall Street, and all these people are part of the 1%. It's been proven. Don't ask me for proof.
Let me say this, though, but I have to be cautioned here for a second. I could see where you can come to a decision, or you could come to a conclusion about the organizational structure of things, where things appear to be linked and people appear to be moving in unison with regard to to different issues and the positions that they're taking as officials. But we have to be careful. We can't insinuate the truth. The truth is either truth or it isn't.
So what makes you think it's not the truth?
Well, it's not that I think it's not the truth. I'm thinking that you are presenting a case as if it were the truth. And it bothers me.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched the U.S. Senator from Minnesota, Scott Jensen? He's in his 70s and 40 years medical doctor, U.S. Senator. He presented 7 pages of a letter that the Department of Health sent to him, telling him anybody who die in the hospital in Minnesota over 80 must be put down as COVID-19, even if they are not being tested.
But we don't know that that is true. You see, there's a lot of stuff people are saying.
He put the letter of the department.
Yes, but the idea I'm saying is, in certain things, even that level is not acceptable until we see the documents.
We saw. I'm just telling you right now. He showed the document.
No, you're telling me, but we don't know. And
what should we do to know? What can I do to know? What should I do? Tell me.
But what is it that you are out to prove?
The truth.
What are you
for people to take? Because if you turn your back on the traffic, a car is going to hate you. You have to know what you're facing, and these are, to me, are real patriots. They are
yes, but in the middle of all of this, and this is what I always get very scared about, people casually making links and connections between and among things without rock solid proof of what they're talking about. It sounds feasible, it may sound logical, but is it factual?
Okay, let me ask you another question. When you have 100 medical doctors who work in hospitals, all kind of doctors standing behind that Nigerian woman, what's her name, Emmanuel, she's a medical doctor, saying she treated 350 people successfully with hydrochloroquine drug, which when the Department of Health in the United States found out it was really helping people, they took the over-the-counter, which they approved, the FBI approved before. When they find out it's been successful at treating people with corona, they took it off the market. And these brave doctors, including that Nigerian woman, they had a press conference showing we have the proof. We have all 350 people.
There is no way anybody could make that argument credibly to me. Because I've read some of the things that she said, and they're just
Where did you read it from? Where did you read it from?
No, don't subject me now. Where did I do this? And
No. You asked me the same question.
I'm telling you, in the same way that I trust that you were able to make certain sense of what it is you've read, trust that I can make some sense of what it is I'm reading. And when somebody tells you that a disease is caused by alien sperm, you have to sit up and think, and says that she's a doctor. You have to sit up and think about that.
Something like that about her. They had to retrieve it the next day to take it off because they were making. It's not a lie that she said that.
No, this is what is. No, it's not a lie that she said it. She said it. And my job, for example, right now, we have gone off course. You have taken us off course. We were supposed to be talking about elections. And instead, we're talking about conspiracy theories. And if we are talking conspiracy theories, then let's also discuss the fact that many people who are advancing conspiracy theories have no clue what they're talking about. But they're getting traction because it's so bizarre, so out there, that people are saying, what is this? By the way, we've just run out of time. I'm hearing the music hinting. But we will return to this discussion. We're not just going to leave it there. We'll return and finish it. Thank you all for calling in and contributing so meaningfully today. I always am very proud of that we have an audience that participates in our education collectively. Thank you so much. We'll be seeing each other tomorrow. Bye-bye.